For 30 years, Formula Ford has nurtured an extraordinary array of talent from this country. Eddie Jordan, Damien McGee, Derek Daly, David Kennedy, Tommy Byrne, Kenny Atchison, Martin Donnelly and Eddie Irvine have all made it in one form or another into Formula One. Now 2 more graduates from Ireland are hitting the headlines in England. Tim Mullen is starring in the British Vauxhall Series, having won the Vauxhall Junior Championship in 1996. And Johnny Kane, in his 2nd year in Formula 3, has already had 2 wins in the category.
He's a very talented young driver, but more than anything else, he's got a terrific head. As a racing driver, you know, a lot of racing drivers have natural talent, God-given talent. Very few of them know how to channel it correctly. And of course, this is his 2nd year in Formula 3, and he really knows how to do it. He's a good starter. His first 2 laps are exceptional normally, which I think demonstrated themselves just now at the first start. I think he's got a great future ahead of him.
There looks to be a great future for Zetec in Ireland as 19 cars turn up on the first day as the formula moves up a cog.
Everybody has worked very hard. As the chairman, I am very proud. To me, it's a piece of Irish motor racing history. To the drivers themselves, they're the guys I really commend. They put their hands in their pockets. They're the ones that spend the money. We, as a committee, we just put the let's say the finer details in place. But the drivers, I really say thank you to these guys. To forwards who came behind us, we got the free engines. Wonderful, Jason Campbell, all the people at Ford Motorsport, the people in Cork. I'm not doing a PR job, but this is a big day. The Irish drivers have spent a lot of money, and it's great to see some British drivers here and some foreign drivers from Portugal today.
We've been pushing very hard for Ireland to come on board with the Zetec formula. They've embraced it with open arms since November last year. With 22 cars in this year's championship, it's going to be one of the strongest newcomers to the fold.
Your job is to spread this globally. How many countries are in now?
Right now we've got 20 countries signed up for the Slick 50 Formula 4 World Series, and new countries are coming and approaching us, you know, on a monthly basis. We think we'll probably have about 35 nations represented by the time the Slick 50 World Finals come around in October. It really is truly an international formula. The World Finals at the end of the year will bring together all of the different countries that are competing and sanctioned to race in Formula Ford. The top 6 drivers from each championship will automatically qualify for an entry into the race. And the prize on offer for winning the World Finals this year is truly unparalleled in motorsport, with a test in the Jackie Stewart Formula One car, with a £20,000 cash prize, tuition and media and sponsorship acquisition. It's really going to help make a young driver's career, and hopefully one of these lucky Irish drivers will be there on the podium at the end.
Van Diemen, the Norfolk manufacturer, with the Irish marketing manager, are the most numerous of the new chassis.
And last year, as you know, in England, we won the British Championship with the first 4 in that, and the big Formula Ford Festival with the first 6 in that. And we've a very good record in this new Zetec category. And hopefully we'll add Ireland to the list of successes in 1997.
Ford of Ireland 1600 champion Alan Ring is one of John's first customers. 1996 champion, and now a whole new ballgame.
Yeah, these cars are a lot quicker, a lot faster. Whole new game.
Are they nice to drive?
They're very nice, a lot faster. We all want to go faster.
Northern Ireland Formula Ford champion Chris Paul also has a Van Diemen.
Over the years, Van Diemen have been always there or thereabouts. If it's not right at the beginning of the year, certainly they will make it right by the end of the year.
Ford of Ireland Championship runner-up Mark McKenna has swapped from Swift to Van Diemen.
They're fabulous. Like, you're doing the same speed as a Formula Vauxhall down into Colonial 1 there. They're so stiff, they're hard to stop, but everybody's in the same boat, so it's brilliant class, excellent.
Swift cars are also popular in Ireland, but is the chassis design for the 1800cc car much different from the 1600?
The thing about the Zetec is that it's a considerably more powerful engine. Slightly heavier. It represents a different set of problems which you've had to overcome, and has meant that the car is a completely different design to the 1600 car of years gone by. We obviously believe that we've got the better car, We need the drivers have got to get time to get used to them, to engineer them, and to gel with them. I think as the season goes on, we'll see how it develops.
Swift's top runners are the Formula Opel refugees Mark O'Connor and Noel Dunne. But perhaps the most interesting innovation is the arrival of the French manufacturer Mygale.
I was approached by Mygale, Bertrand de Coster, to take on the agency here in Ireland, and I literally grabbed it because I've thought they have had great potential in England for many, many years. And personally, I'm delighted I took them on because the car is very, very good and very easy and user-friendly.
George McAlpine is one to have purchased these little Formula One lookalikes.
We thought we'd go for something different. Everybody else has gone Van Diemen this year, and the Mygale was the last car to come out, so we took a wee bit of a gamble, but I think it's paying off at the moment.
The Vector is the final player in this fascinating game. Jeff Wright leads the team.
This year, hopefully, we'll be able to come out and be competing really well up with the top boys over here and in England.
So you're going to do the British Championship as well?
Yeah, hopefully I'll concentrate on the British Championship and do as many of the Irish rounds as possible.
So that's the cast. Now for the action as the 19 cars line up for this historic race.
And on pole position is that man Alan Ring, and beside him Jeff Wright in the Works Vector. On the second row in the white car there is Mark McKenna, who just missed out on the championship last year, and beside him the very experienced Chris Paul. We go to the next road and it's George McAlpine, and he calls it Mygale, we call it Mygale, but we'll sit with the two. And beside him Brendan Donegan. The next row is Noel Dunne and Mark O'Connor, who I believe only got their cars really sorted here yesterday when they were doing some testing, so we look forward to better position from them. The next row, young Mark Cullen, who had a little off in qualifying, so expected to do a little better, and beside him Peter Walsh in the DHL car. Then we've Raymond Knox, sister car to Chris Paul, and then Derek M. Daly, who was so busy looking after his other Mygale customers that he didn't get the act together for himself. But then we have McGill, we're ready for the off. Who will it be, the first one into the first corner in the first Zetec race in Ireland? What a start from Wright on the outside of the front row. He's already pulled two cars. McKenna, very bad start. So it is down the inside Chris Paul, but up into second place George McAlpine in that little Mygale.
Can they all get through the first corner? This is always the danger point in Formula Ford, no matter what particular classification of Formula Ford it is. Amazing, they're all expensive motor cars. I think they're being a little bit careful of their new pride and joys.
And they're all falling over each other, but just a 2-car length at the moment for Jeff Wright. But look at this high-speed Zetec train in the background, and it's everything nose to tail. So it's McAlpine from Chris Paul, from Mark McKenna, from Alan Ring, who lost out completely. What a bad start from Alan Ring, who just swallowed at the start. And also Mark McKenna, he's well back as well. So they've got to get used to getting these cars. A lot more power, a lot more wheel spin. But look at locking the wheels, and I think O'Connor's made contact with George. You think he has. He might have done damage there, but meanwhile up front Jeff Wright is just easing his way out. And if he keeps on doing this, he could have his first runaway win. Have we lost O'Connor? I think we have. So it's Chris Paul now up into third place. But George McAlpine at the moment not making that inroad. In the background, McKenna, Paul looking at the inside at one of the quickest spots and very late on the brakes. It's great to see this racing, and it's great to see all the different chassis.
Yes, and sadly that was true. We did see it just in the very far right of the picture. It was the swiftest of the swift, Mark O'Connor, out after the end of the first lap. But no problem for the Vector. It's really roaring away from the opposition. It's hard to believe. We've only had a lap and a half, and look at the gap he's opened out. You're looking at Chris Paul in the leading Van Diemen there at the moment as they head down the back straight. But in second place at the moment is the Mygale of George McAlpine.
George, a superstar, actually a superstar from both Chris and George, and Alan Ring has just nipped up there on the inside there of McKenna. Is it? Yes, he again recovering from his very bad start. That is Alan Ring. He just didn't get it all together tonight. But the two good starters were McAlpine and Chris Paul, both sides of Alan Ring, and slot himself into second and third. Unfortunately, as we said, we've lost Mark O'Connor in the Golden Pages car, but he'll be back to fight another day. So it's McAlpine from Chris Paul. And this, look at this, is serious. This is Peter Walsh, is it? Yes, in the DHL car from Noel Dunne, or is it Donegan? It's Donegan, we think. Yes, Donegan coming through, and this battle's all the way down the field here.
Tremendous, and just behind him there, the Portuguese driver Santos in the second of the Vectors. So you're looking at second place man in the Mygal, the Miller Mygal, a very distinctive looking machine indeed. Under pressure now, the man who's really making up the most ground is undoubtedly young Mark McKenna, trying down the inside with the Van Diemen and going round the outside. Can he do it? Chris Paul, there won't be a lot of room there. In fact, he's out over the curves. He loses out badly, and I think Alan Ring slipped up the inside as well there.
Well, from third place to sixth place, all in one move, with the man who had the bad start and who could really put Wright under pressure, and not that George couldn't, is the charging Mark McKenna at the moment. And he's trying to go round the outside, and he does. What a superb manoeuvre. Just lets it all hang out there. But Chris Paul, maybe he's got a spot of bother, but was just out fumbled into that corner by Ring, and then Noel Dunne. So it's Noel Dunne, Alan Ring. They're following George McAlpin, but Mark McKenna now is the one. Can he do anything about this? Absolute lead is like not on for Formula 4. Normally this is the way your racing is, but just Jeff Wright, maybe he's got something in there, we don't know, but he's pulling it out, and he must have 20, 30 car lengths, while the rest are all falling over each other for that second place.
You've got to remember, of course, that he had the advantage of having this chassis last year with a 1600 engine in it. And let's just talk for a second or two while we watch the Munster joinery car just accelerate out of the hairpin, and the difference between these cars. 1800cc for a start off, that gives them about an extra 30 brake horsepower, which is making them very, very quick at the end of long straights like this, and also difficult to stop. That's what the drivers are saying. A little bit harder to drive, as you would expect. Saw the leader gone through picture. McKenna now in second place, then George McAlpine third. You're looking at little Noel Dunne in the Swift there in fourth place, and right on his tail, Alan Ring.
Yes, Alan Ring, who didn't get a good start, as we said, right through. Second place man, Mark McKenna, then George McAlpin, then Noel Dunne. And there is Mark McKenna. The Ballymore Properties car, that faithful sponsors who looks after him, and he really loves this class. I'd say he's kicking himself he didn't get a good start, and to be seeing Jeff Wright pull away in the distance. At the moment, George is getting a little pressure, and little would be a slightly small way to describe the pressure that's happening at the background from Dunne and from Alan Ring, the two of them lining up as they get down the straight. But this is again, this is what happened with Wright. With no pressure on him, he drove away in the distance, and McKenna's doing the same, Alan.
And it's hard to believe that in October, Ireland was still going to stick with 1600 Formula 4. Now the decision's been made, and 19 cars take the very first race. That's more than, I believe, are even racing in this category in England at the moment.
Yes, in fairness, Mick Merrigan, PJ Fallon and a number of others got together along with Ford, and they just put the process together, and the guys were swayed. But it's amazing. Most years you would hear of a new class starting, you'd hear 12 cars and 6 would turn out. We heard 22, we have 19. That's the most. In fact, I think that's a bigger grid than the Zetec grid in the UK at the moment. So 10 out of 10 to the lads, and may we win that all-important World Cup in October, and somebody from here with the £20,000 and the driving the Jackie Stewart, it would just be fantastic. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. Remember Eddie Irvine.
And look at that car in the centre of your screen now, the distinctive yellow and black car. That belongs to Alan Kelly, and that's in fact a 3-year-old Mygale that's come right virtually from the back of the grid. So he has made very good progress indeed. We're waiting for this battle now for 7th place. And it's Brendan Donegan and Peter Walsh right on his tail in the DHL car. These are relatively new names to Irish racing here on home soil. Peter Walsh was racing in England last year in the Formula Vauxhall Junior Championship. And right on his tail, we have Knox, who won at Phoenix Park last year. Another man to graduate. No, in fact, it's not. It's Cullen, who's the son of a very famous ex-Formula 2 racing driver.
Yes, Knox on the tail of Alan Kelly, but Mark Cullen, the young man who didn't have a good practice, and he started in 10th place. He's now up into 8th, 9th, but in that sort of category there, it's going to be hard for him to get by, but he'd settled down. He had some very good testing at Mondello, but there's our leader, just turning in a little bit of noise in the tyres, very quick corner, through the first left-hander, and then Fisherman, this long right-hander, and a tricky one to get right, because This is where your exit speed out onto the straight will make the difference as you approach the chicane. Get the chicane right, and you look at the gap he has all the way to McKenna. But McKenna's not getting away too much from George McGill or Noel Dunne, who's right on his gearbox.
Noel Dunne then behind George McAlpine in the Miller car. Very distinctive, this My Gale. It's got that lifted front snout, rather like a Formula One car. And as you say, you sit in this car a bit like sitting in the bath with your feet on the taps. The battle then for third place. We're concentrating on the moment and trying very hard down the outside. Noel Dunne in the Swift there, not finding the space. Noel Dunne driving a very good race. He's dipped his toe in Formula Vauxhall last year, but back to Formula Ford, where of course he'd starred previously, and now in the new Zetec class, and he's got a very good toe there. He's got an opportunity if he can juke out of the slipstream, either down the outside or down the inside, but George McAlpine is unlikely to leave much of a gap, and he got a bit sideways there, lost his momentum.
Yes, these two, although they're falling over each other, and I mean that in the nicest possible way, they're battling with each other, Mark McKenna doesn't seem to be taking advantage of it. Now Noel, because of that little sideways move coming through there, you can see just the disadvantage he has now, and that is how close this racing is. Step the tail out for 2 seconds and you've lost 4 or 5 car lengths, and that's Chris Paul. No, it is indeed, that's Chris Paul, who was, remember, in third place, then dropped to 6th, then had a spin, so he's not having a good day. And that is our leader, Jeff Wright, just sliding it beautiful on him.
And Jeff Wright from Bangor, remember he's supported by no less than Eddie Irvine, the Formula One Ferrari driver, who gave him assistance to go to the World Cup last year, or the finals at Brands Hatch, where he did extremely well indeed. I think he finished third. Now he's going to concentrate on the racing in England this year, and that's probably pretty good news for the rest of them.
That bunch going through there, McGill number 73, Philip Keogh 14, Michael Hill and Derek M. Daly as they head down to Colonial, and Derek M. just having a look down the outside. Oh, somebody locking up. That's McGill, number 14 there. That's Philip Keogh, ex-VW man, but gets back on the tarmac but loses 2-3 pace. He's now last man. But all these people haven't had, as I said, a lot of time to test their cars, but it'll come good for them and it'll make for some superb racing in 97.
So there's our leader, Jeff Wright, and really the man that from the turn of the lights has dominated this race in the Vector. He'll be very, very happy with this result indeed. He is about a quarter of a lap ahead of everybody else at the moment. He's fairly flinging this little motor car around and going right out over the curbs there at Fisherman's, comes down into the chicane, and as you see, it's common to put one of the front wheels over the cars. We look back for second place, Mark McKenna, and in third, George McAlpine. We're watching going through now, and just behind him then, Noel Dunne. And that's the top 4 with Alan Ring in 5th place.
And all if Mark McKenna had got off the grid quicker and Alan Ring, would he have this lead? I don't think he would. I think Mark McKenna has pulled out a long gap on George McAlpine. He's made inroads on Wright, but under no pressure, so he's able to dictate the race out here from the front, and McKenna driving very well indeed. It could be a different ballpark in a week's time in Mondello Park, where it will be McKenna's home circuit and a man that will want to be on the front row.
George McAlpine, just we saw him in the background, there's Mark McKenna. He was so unlucky not to win the championship last year. Right in the very last meeting, he got into all kinds of trouble. Very disappointed man indeed, because he had led it pretty comprehensively for the last 3 or 4 rounds. So he's a lot of amends to make up. McKenna, of course, like many of these young men, the son of a former racing driver. George McAlpine's father indeed bought my old saloon car and used to race that.
Very bad condition, may I add. Not to worry, there's the young man, he's out front, Jeff Wright. And look at the lead, Mark McKenna again. The one that's actually moving on and just shaking off Noel Dunne is George. But again, I'm not making excuses for any of them. They are getting used to their cars, and give them another week of testing and we may see a difference. But let's not take it away. If the man up the front is doing what he's getting paid to do, is get off the line at the lights, get his head down and just shake off the opposition, and that's what he's done.
So the lap times have come down a little bit now that the pressure's off. It's getting a little bit spread out, but naturally, of course, being the first race of Zetec in Ireland, there will be a new lap record. But this is a bit of a problem at the moment for the 500 Club, because the power has gone down on the circuit, and they're having all kinds of problems today. No commentary, and indeed the all the timekeepers are working manually in the old clocks, so the power's back on now, with a little bit of confusion on the lap times, but surely the Vector has to be the strong favourite, although Mark McKenna is now, I think, maybe closing a little bit on him, but it's all too late. Checkered flag. So Jeff Wright makes history and wins the first Zetec race in Ireland. There we can see the final order. Mark McKenna second place, George McAlpine, Noel Dunne and Alan Ring. The top 5 in this historic race. Jason Campbell, Ford's global coordinator, presents the prizes on this historic day to George McAlpine, who drove the Miller Mygal in third place, Mark McKenna, second in the Van Diemen, and the runaway winner, Jeff Wright, in the Vector. Jeff, just hold it 1 second before you... Congratulations, absolutely ran away with that one.
Yeah, I was surprised it was a way out in front. I thought they were a real main, like, but don't know where they came from. Got a good lead.
Were you surprised yourself with the lead you had?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I was looking at my mirrors and there was nobody there. I was just out on my own, like.
Well, you've made a bit of history in Ireland.
Yeah, so I believe. New lap record now for the Fords, I think, as well.
Good man. Thanks. Second place. A little bit lonely there, but you had to fight for it for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, my clutch slipped on the line and I fell back to 7th, but I got up anyway. And but it was easy to know Jeffrey and his team knew what they were doing here this weekend, whereas we're still learning because he completely walked it and it has to change come the next day. We can't be going on like that.
Right, George, I know you've been spending a few hours around this place in recent times.
Yes, it was a good race. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and very pleased to finish in the top 3. My mirrors fell down right from the first lap. You couldn't see a thing what was going on behind me, so struggling a wee bit.
Well, I'm going to get out of here because I think there's a shower about to happen. The Ford of Ireland Zetec Championship has been the sensation of the Irish racing season, with packed grids and breathtaking action on the track. Qualifying in these conditions is always an adventure.
If it stays like this afternoon, if you're out in front, clear of the spray, it'll make an awful difference to your driving because it's very difficult out there in those conditions. Very slippery, very bad visibility.
Philip, obviously it's good news and bad news.
Yeah, the car is in a bit of a state, but second on the grid is not too bad.
What happened to you out there?
What happened, I was pushing a little too hard. I shouldn't have went off, but that's how I got pole in the first place. I had provisional pole for a long time, and it was just by pushing the car. I could have actually done better. I had a better lap, but I made a little mistake on one corner.
They're a handful in the dry every place. Very heavy, very fast. In the wet, it's just hang on and hope you get round the corner.
And off a few times with it, maybe just trying too hard. But oh well, we're still thereabouts. It'll be a long race.
And on pole position is indeed Raymond Knox in the River Rock car. And on the outside, on a superb start, Philip Keogh, that man from Wexford, straight out of Visa. What a superb start it is. George McAlpine in the black car, the Miller Genuine Draft around the outside, Alan Ring, the Munster Joinery car, the red and white one in there, all battling. Look at this, 3 abreast. The green one on the outside there is the Mark Cullen from Killaloo, and this is motor racing at its best. This is surely becoming the #1 single-seater class in Ireland at the moment. Keogh out there leading his other 17 or 18 similar cars, 96s, 97s, over £500,000 worth of cars out there.
An incredible success story as they stream back into the main arena. And look at this, Philip Keogh, the man who's just in his first season in Zetec, as indeed they all are, but only his second season in Formula Ford, mainly a Formula V man and very underfinanced, and in the Duckham's car leading the pack with ex-rally man there in second place, Raymond Knox. Down they come, streaming down the hill from Dunlop for the first time. Down the long straight, and then hard onto the brakes for this hairpin. George McAlpine in third place in the Mygal, the French car, looking threatening, coming down the inside and contact with Knox there.
Yes, Knox just banging. I think it's dislodged the back wheel of Knox's car. Looks all over the place. The little green one on the inside there, that is young Mark Cullen, and he gets by. Now can George get by? Yes, Knox really in trouble, and Alan Ring gets by, and again that's Mark O'Connor ahead of McKenna, is it? Yes, and again Alan Kelly. You can see Knox really in trouble, and number 6 there, that's Chris Paul. Now Chris Paul started in 12th position, and we're going to have to read it. The car all over the place. Unfortunately, pole position to no position.
So hard luck there for Raymond Knox, who was really brave in the wet this morning. But look at this man. There's another man that was brave. Indeed, he was off a couple of times. Philip Keogh comes up into Dunlop. And in second place now, it's Mark Cullen, another new name. And many new names are coming up in this new formula. All very encouraging stuff indeed. And all, of course, hoping for that big prize at the World Festival at Brands Hatch at the end of the year.
2 new names together, and young Mark Cullen having a look at that outside, hoping to get back around. Going a little wide, that's going to let George have a look at the inside. No, you're never going to do it there, Mark, and you lose all the momentum. If you're not going to get through the corner, don't try it, because look what's happened now. George is all over the back of him. Now he's going to have to get his head down and make that again. If he got away with that, it would have been a brave manoeuvre, and George again banging wheels. This must be the strongest Formula Ford out there. That's 2 bangs George has had, and there's poor Knox heading back for the pits, unless he wants to stay out there in hopes that everybody else falls off and he might get a place, but I don't think so. I think he's realised that he is in trouble. The red and white car there of Alan Ring, that's in third place. Lovely slide there from Keogh as they come through there, and believe it or not, these 2, 1 and 2, getting out ahead. George also, but Ring from, that's McKenna, again banging wheels. Then you have Noel Dunne, then Mark O'Connor. A little bit of a train beginning there, and Mark O'Connor's lost his nose already, having a look at the inside of McKenna's car as they motor down into Coca-Cola.
So yes, the Golden Pages car missing a lot of bodywork there as it went through. Danger Man number 12, look out for him. There he is in the Castrol car. That's Noel Dunne. He's already won in this new formula this year, and he's moving up the pack pretty comprehensively. But 2 young men, 2 new names out front. Number 14 there, Philip Keogh, with a lot of pressure from George McAlpine in third, and soldiering on in the Swift there, Mark O'Connor, who's come back down out of Formula Opel into this new class.
Yes, you can see they're side by side getting in there. Number 26, that is Mark Cullen, distinctive green car, and he's not letting Keogh get away whatsoever. Actually, sponsorship there in that car comes from Daddy's company, it's Derek Marine. His father at the moment, he used to be very much involved in the motor racing, travelled all over Europe in the Formula 2 days as a privateer, now flies seaplanes for something to do, but comes here and supports his son. Again, that outside line, but Keogh making it difficult, and don't get out too wide, because all this time George McAlpine is sitting there thinking, well, 1 little mistake from anyone and I'm up a place, 2 mistakes and I'm in the lead.
So Mark Cullen now in the slipstream of this leading Van Diemen, and really trying to go down the inside, no gap there, and George McAlpine there in third place, just waiting for his moment. There's another danger man, goes right out over the curbs, Noel Dunne, and we can see the more experienced men now coming to the fore. There's been quite a crazy grid for this race really this morning, because a lot of people, some were on wet settings, some were on dry settings, so they will have changed their cars for this mainly dry race now, and we're going to see some people coming up through the field.
Yes, so far this season, all the qualifying has been in the dry. Just get another inch to get him through. Unfortunately, brave man to make it, but a good guy to back off. He knew that if he got down there, he was going to be in trouble. Will they touch wheels? It's just working his way, Keogh, there, just not giving enough, wheels banging, but these 2 are actually slowing each other down, as you can see, because all of a sudden Alan Ring, McKenna, the whole lot, 31 there, that's Timmy Murray from Tara, just collected, and he's lucky he wasn't collected. I was going to say collected the tires, but he's lucky the rest didn't collect him, so that's demoted him to the back. But look at this high-speed train now, and again up there, number 2, that is young Mark McKenna, as they motor in again, everybody bashing and bumping and looking for those spaces. So there you have Ring, then it's Noel Dunne, then noseless, you see number 11 there, that's Mark O'Connor. That is the battle in the background. Then it is Mark McKenna in the Ballymore Properties car, but anyone out up the inside is Mark McKenna, and he spins out, second place man. What, did he get a nudge? Maybe we'll see that again in slow motion. I don't think so, or he may have hit a damp patch. He just comes through the corner, gets the wheel down, he's got going again, but you can see what it's really like as they come up the hill now. 3 and 4 abreast. But Keogh is still holding that lead. Now it's McAlpin. Who is that? That is Mark McKenna. It is indeed, and the Master Track Interiors car. Well, that's unfortunate because he's done a lot of testing. He was hoping to do well. Again, look at Noel Dunne. As Alan said, this is the danger man. He's just got the legs of George as they go into Coca-Cola. He's up into second place.
So Noel Dunne, the winner out here last time in an absolute World War III race. There was so much carnage in this new Zetec class here the last day at Mondello. Indeed, a lot of protests, a lot of angry words afterwards, but Noel Dunne keeping well out of trouble and picking up those places. Philip Keogh still leads in the Duckham's car, number 24, number 14 I should say, number 12 behind him. That's Noel Dunne. And look at this, and I think Keogh's gone wide. Dunne goes into the lead. He was just waiting for a mistake like that, and Keogh must be in some kind of handling problems.
Yes, looks at the back of the car, wants to step out, whether the track is drying and he's on semi-wet settings again, all new to them. And look at this is the major run of success. Number 6 there is Chris Paul, up from 12th place. Now remember, bad practice, he had it set for the dry, it was raining, he has it set for the dry now, and it's not raining, and he's already up there into 3rd place into motor George McAlpin. Now George has been in 2nd, he's been in 3rd, and now he's back in 4th, but the race isn't over yet.
George McAlpin taking his racing very seriously, leads the championship at the moment. This year he's off the drink and training very hard for this championship. So he's really a serious man in this game at the moment. There he is, number 5. And there's another man come up through the field, Alan Kelly. We just saw a glimpse of
Number 16 there with the loose bodywork, that's Peter Walsh from the PJ Fallon team, but back up front, and look what's happening again. Keogh sticking that tail out, losing all grip, and 2 more places. So Keogh, for a long lead, put up a lot of pressure from Cullen and is now way back. You can see that poor Chris Paul has been in the wars as well. Like Mark O'Connor, he's going very wide indeed, putting the wheel out over the grass. Unfortunate for Philip, but that's the way it goes. And who's inherited all this? Young Noel Dunne in the Cliff Dempsey car.
And look at this battle on the last lap for 2nd place. George McAlpin, number 5 in the Mygall, trying to hold off Chris Paul in the Van Diemen. And then I think it's Alan Kelly who's really come from nowhere in the rather ancient Mygall there, up into 4th place. No problems for Noel Dunne in the Castrol car. He's way out front and heading towards the checkered flag. But who's going to be 2nd? It's not going to be Alan Kelly.
That was unfortunate. A great manoeuvre from Alan down around the outside, but didn't realise that Chris Paul had that place on the inside line. They may have avoided each other, but unfortunately somebody ended up in tears. But look at this. Again, that is our previous 2nd place man, but there's our leader, Cullen, still going around. But this is the man who'd really done it all, hand in the air. Remember, didn't lead to the last 3 laps, and they're the important ones.
Congratulations, Noel, 2 in a row.
Yeah, I'm delighted with that result. It was very tricky at the start because we didn't know whether to go in wet or dry settings, so we took an intermediate setting between wet and dry, and it worked really well. It took a few laps for the tyres to warm up, but once they got warm, I could pick them off, and it was great. Really.
Well, I mean, from our point of view, that really was a fantastic race. Great to watch, great entertainment.
It was good, clean racing. All of us dicing, wheel to wheel. Really enjoyed it. I'm very delighted.
George, you weren't too happy after practice, but you're a bit happier now, I think.
Oh, happier now. I'm delighted to finish in the top 3. It's always nice to finish in the podium, so very pleased. And we're still leading the championship, so delighted.
And Mr. Paul back in the limelight. That's good news.
It certainly is from my point of view, yeah. Struggling qualifying this morning, wrong setup, back in 12th. Had a really good race, enjoyed it immensely, and finished 3rd.
Well, that was hard work because we saw you trying to carve your way through the field.
Yeah. You really do enjoy a good race when it happens. It's all right qualifying and pole and leading and winning a race, but to get in among everybody and pass and have a good race, that really is the essence of the sport.
Your verdict, I should say, on Zetec.
I think it's here to stay.
So George McAlpin retains enough points to still lead the championship. Noel Dunne is his challenger, and Jeff Wright, who wasn't at the meeting, is in 3rd place.
What a sensational first season these grown-up Formula Fords have had. Noel Dunne will be the man with the pressure on him in 2 weeks' time when he's the favourite to become the first Irish Zetec Championship winner at the Leinster Trophy meeting here at Mondello. But today, it's a different story. This is the one-off festival race, the most prestigious single Ford race of the year. A festival win can go a long way to make up for what was otherwise a disappointing season. So watch out for Chris Paul, Mark O'Connor, Philip Keogh and George McAlpin, who could all do with that end-of-year booster.
And surprise, surprise, that's the first 2 rows of this first heat of the Zetec. On pole position there, Philip Keogh, beside him Chris Paul, then George McAlpin, and then it is indeed Mark O'Connor on the next row. It was Donegan there, and look at the start already from inside that front row from Philip Keogh, the Wexford man, the farmer that wants to do so well here. There's bumping and boring. The normal car there, you see of Mark Cullen being driven this time by young Neil Shanahan, who's absolutely a superb little pilot, the find of the year. This is his first time. That is Chris Paul. The man that was on the front row has been bumped out there onto the grass, and he has it all to do.
Philip Keogh out in the front, proudly wearing as always the Wexford colours there. A man who has been really the Zetec find of the year, number 20 just going past. That is Brendan Donegan, who had been bumped off in the first corner. He joins at the back, but Philip Keogh leads. And there, number 26 is the man we're really looking out for, the man that's the Star of Tomorrow champion and having his first race in Zetec and really showing that he's well capable of handling it.
He's not afraid of Walsh there going down the inside of Dag. Now it's still Keogh. That's Mark O'Connor there, just pulling out at the moment from George McAlpin in third place, and then it's Raymond Knox. We're watching for this battle. They go through. That's Knox going through there. Then Peter Walsh. And look at this battle. Mark McKenna there, who's added the drain doctor to his sponsorship list. And there's that young man, number 26. That's Shanahan on the outside, moving up yet another place. To Rimmer, as Alan said, this is his first race in the Zetec, already the Star of Tomorrow. Oh, unlocking that right front wheel as quick as he can get down into the double legs makes Mark O'Connor has his sights set firmly on winning this one.
Philip Keogh, Mark O'Connor, very close indeed. A Van Diemen and a Swift in that order as they come back into the main arena. And Mark O'Connor, who moved back from Formula Opel to the new Zetec class this year, and then of course George McAlpin in the French-made car, the Mygal, looking left, looking right, and right behind him Raymond Knox and another of the Van Diemens.
And because Keogh and O'Connor are fighting, look, George McAlpin has climbed back in all over the tail of that. So the Golden Pages ACEC car now just beginning to fend a little bit, and will this let Keogh away to his first Zetec win? We've seen him do it once or twice, and again McKenna, Walsh, Alan Ring, they're all in there fighting. Remember, they've to have to do it all over again.
And they'll have to do it from a reverse grid once more. We're looking at George McAlpin, number 5 in the Miller car. Very pretty little motor car, high nose, a la Formula One, and he's putting real pressure there on the second place man. But at the moment it's somebody in big trouble. It looked like number 20 with that Brendan Donegan upside down, oil spilling out of the gearbox, engine still running, and I would imagine that this race will be stopped, Brian.
All this trouble, if it is stopped, we're waiting to see will there be a red flag. Everybody, the marshals, they're very dangerous. Driver out of the car, okay, but the car itself, yes, and there we have the red flag, so we have a restart.
Brendan Donegan looking perfectly all right, but obviously contemplating his wallet. Restart, and once again Keogh makes a perfect start from the front row. A terrible start by Mark O'Connor. Has he transmission problems? He's way back in the pack, and that puts a whole new aspect of this one.
Little puff of smoke there from O'Connor's car, whether he missed a gear, whether something happened, but it looked as if he'd no drive whatsoever. But look at this young man, Neil Shannon, in that car of Mark Cullen's. I think he's borrowed it or hired it from today. Both of them being run by Mick Merrigan Racing, but out front in third place at the moment, ahead of George McAlpin. And I'm sure George is saying, where did this young fella come from?
Neil Shanahan then, car number 26, the green car there, the one to watch. There he is. Remember, this is his first ever Zetec race. He's won about 7 or 8 of the 1600cc Ford races this year, and really he's been so convincing that it almost looked like he didn't have any opposition. But this is a very different class. This is a very class field, and he's coping admirably.
sitting there in third place, not making any mistakes, but watching for the break, and the Bachelor in car, 26, taking that wide line to scoop around the back, but McKenna's up there looking at the back of Raymond Knox. Noseless there is Derek M. Daly, one of the founders, in fact the man who kept his nose to the grindstone to keep Formula Ford alive in Ireland. 10 out of 10, Derek. When you look at this tape, you'll realise that all your work was not in vain.
Raymond Knox then in fourth place, I think it is, in the middle of the pack there anyway, always figuring strong, very often figures strong on the big occasion. Of course, won at Phoenix Park 2 years ago, which was probably his most major Formula Ford win so far. But now in the Zetecs, struggled a little bit at the beginning of the season, but really beginning to make a mark.
Surprise, Alan, Neil Shannon got up into second place. He's got by Raymond Knox. Now that has to be some manoeuvre for him. He's going to take Kyo's first win away from him. I have a funny feeling it's going to be very close to the end of this one. Again, you can see Chris Paul there. He was involved in that accident with Peter Donegan, and that's why he's back so far. So he's got to make his way all the way back up again.
Looking at this midfield battle, O'Connor there, number 11, the man who had been lying second, remember, in the first part of this race, seems to have overcome the problem. He's going quite swiftly now. But there's Neil Shanahan, number 26, in second place.
Yes,
hard to believe it.
A nice wide line, but Raymond Knox is thinking maybe I'd like to move up that little bit. But it's Keogh from Shanahan, from Raymond Knox, then George McAlpin. Keogh coming in, no puffs of smoke, under no pressure at the moment. He's still holding, but Knox is coming under little pressure from his pal George McAlpin as they run through this long right-hander, then up the hill. First man to break is Keogh, locking a wheel there. Then you can see that Knox holding that inside line. They're coming under pressure now from Mark McKenna.
And you've got to remember that the two that are leading this race are completely upsetting the establishment, and we're really looking at the establishment there. Raymond Knox, ex-rally driver, George McAlpine trying down the inside and getting his nose knocked off. That's the second Mygal nose that's been a casualty in this heat.
That's it, George and Derek M. Daly both driving the same cars. They look different. The paintwork on this Miller Light Beard, or Miller Beard as it's called, but the way it's black and the yellow underneath gives it a different shape to the all-yellow car of Derek M. Daly. You can see there, nose gone. It won't help him, or it won't hinder him that much, but it's nice to have it there.
And it says genuine draft in the front of that car, and I would reckon he's getting a genuine draft at the moment. Philip Keogh, number 14, leads.
Yes, when
Neil Shanahan, 26 in second place.
Sorry, when you lose that nose, like literally you've got your little feet are out in the air, so you can see there, that is the two suspension units. But Keogh at the moment beginning to stamp his authority in this as he comes down to the line. First win for Philip, well done, but a superb second place for Neil Shannon, then Raymond Knox, then George McAlpin and Mark McKenna.
But now literally the first shall be last, as the second heat is a reverse grid.
Well, it gives us a chance to try and force our way back up through the field. I think the organisers decided it would be a bit of a change of format to make it more interesting for the spectators and possibly for the drivers as well.
Really, I think who's going to win this here is who's going to be the most aggressive, who's going to get stuck in and push their way through. I think that's what it's going to be about. It's very hard to pass here at Mondello. If you pussyfoot around, you ain't going nowhere.
It'll make it very interesting starting from the back, but it'll be very tough because you have all the front runners at the back, and there could be a lot of carnage, so it's hard to know whether to push or hold back or what, so you'll just have to go for a space if it's there.
I spoke to George and Raymond. They reckon they're going to go right from the start.
If they're going, I'll follow them.
Follow them we'll have to do, because he's right on the back of this row, but on pole position for the first time it's Michael Hill beside him, Richard Wright. But look at the second row, very close. I don't think this is where they should be. And Michael Klein, unfortunately, I'm not sure whether he was called for it, but actually jumps there, so he has a 10-second penalty. So unfortunately, we will be looking at him, but he won't be in the record. Ryan is the man that's leading, and a lot of smoke in there, but Chris Paul, and a nose gone already, is that young Shanahan, who got a good start, but has been caught there, and I think he's lost his nose already.
Well, with the fast men at the back, but they're not all at the back, and really the danger man, we're looking at Richie Ryan there, the danger man is behind him, and that's Chris Paul. He's in about 4th place in the River Rock car, and he really is normally very much a front runner. There's the man number 14 that won, of course, the first heat, Philip Keogh, right at the back of the field. Richie Ryan leads.
Richie Ryan going through there, number 15, that's Mike Klein. Unfortunately, he is the man that has the 10-second penalty, but that doesn't take away from having a superb drive and holding off the more experienced and much more experienced Chris Paul. Keep that inside line nicely closed as they come through the gap. But Chris Paul is on a mission. He wants to get up there and he dives from one side to the other. Perfectly legitimate. What he did, just moves across. He didn't touch, and we're halfway through this 8-lapper.
Chris Paul now has moved up into second place. So Paul, who's had a pretty miserable first season in Zetec, a multiple 1600 Ford champion, they're now in second place and closing right in. And Richie Ryan is going to make an attempt down the main straight past the start-finish line. He's well positioned for turn one, and surely he must take the lead, and indeed he does.
Well, to take the lead he does, but what has happened is because of his poor result the last time, and Alan Ring, and I'm surprised he's not doing better, the real mayhem is going back for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th, and you're going to see some hairy Formula Ford Zetec's in a few minutes.
So Chris Paul hares out into the distance, and remember that it's not a fact an aggregate time. In other words, it's not the times that count here, it's the points that count. So Chris Paul can't improve on where he is now, so it really is all up to what happens behind him. 36 there, a man off, a man in trouble.
It's Michael Hill, who was our pole position man. Unfortunately, just got a step out on the grass. Look at Chris Paul knocking those wheels, but in the background, now we see what it's at. Alan Ring, from Michael Klein, from Mark McKenna, Derek M. Daly in the thick of it there, and everybody, this bunch are fighting, 3 abreast, 2 abreast. Watch McKenna on the outside, he just gets a wheel on the grass, he tries to get underneath the bridge, and as he comes out the far side, just a lot of dust and dirt, but the 3, 4 abreast. But Derek M. Daly with the nose back on from the first event, he's holding him off at the moment. Still in there, last year's champion, Alan Ring in the Munster joinery car. And all the time these guys are falling over each other, Derek M. is pulling away.
Derek M. Daly having strapped a new nose cone on his car from the first heat. Klein doesn't count. There's a man who very much does count, Mark McKenna, number 2 there, just going through the frame. And all the quick men are actually now holding each other up at the back. There's such a dogfight going on there.
Yes, and that was, as we said earlier on, it was young. Neil Shannon's lost the nose. We're still holding off George McAlpin. George McAlpin holding off Mark O'Connor. Mark O'Connor holding off Raymond Knox. That's Alan Ring going up the front. But you can see this second bunch have already caught up with, let's call them the Derek M. Daly bunch. And now we've got us one high-speed Zetec train.
And the whole of Mark O'Connor's bodywork is gone. And there's Philip Keogh right at the very back, just wondering what sort of world war is about to develop, and there it has, and I'm afraid the casualty this time is Neil Shanahan.
Has just caught the left-hand front wheel. You can see him spinning on the grass. There's suspension gone, but he can be proud of himself today. You don't have to win every day, but you've definitely shown us you can really drive it. There's the man that he tipped onto, Keogh trying the outside, Peter Walsh on the inside, George McAlpin in the middle, and ahead of them, and a big puff of ground, dirt there, and someone gets really out on the outside. Alan Ring, Mark McKenna, Mark O'Connor with everything gone, Raymond Knox, George McAlpin, Peter Walsh. Something's got to give. Is it the bodywork of Peter Walsh's car? There's our friend Derek M. just keeping the cool and holding it tight up front.
Very hard to work out at this stage who will actually win the final, but what we've got to look for is a strong sort of midfield runner who finished very well in the first heat.
Well, the winners from the last heat, Raymond Knox and George McAlpin at the moment, have the legs of Philip Keogh, the stranded car there of Neil Shannon. So if they can get up into the Derek M. Daly bunch now, they're going to be in a strong position to finish somewhere with about maybe 8, 10 or 12 points. But out front, Klein, remember, unfortunately, that 10-second penalty, but still having a good drive. McKenna catching on to O'Connor. Now, these guys are still moving through, but they had a bad first heat. The men that had the first heat that was good for them was George, a locked wheel there from Derek M. Then it's Alan Ring, is George McAlpin, Philip Keogh, Mark O'Connor, who had a good finish in the end, and of course Raymond Knox.
So Chris Paul wins this heat, but when all the calculations are done, the overall winner is Raymond Knox.
It was a hard drive, but very, very good and very exciting out there. We're trying to get up through the slower cars in front of us. I think it made for an interesting spectacle.